you for having me. And also, a shout out to Doug for reaching out to me to have me get on today. I enjoyed the breakout session. It wasn't Nettie, you weren't able to finish what you were saying. We got kicked out. But I loved also what Pastor Jeff Stafford, I believe that was the name, just said. Good stuff, and it's important for folks to get together and have these types of conversations. So, the reason I'm on this call is because I've been drafted like many of you. Have a lot going on like everyone else here. But in 2021, when the nation was in an uproar, I felt the Lord whisper to my heart to bring folks together. And with that, I'm not going to share the whole process, but with that, God's blessed me with a lot of relationships. So I reached out to friends and from across the country. And I say, hey guys, let's get together just to have some conversations. Let's talk through some of these issues that's tearing up our nation. And out of that grew a number of different things. But with that said, I want to say right off the bat, I don't have the solution. I just know the one who is the solution, and that is certainly, Jesus the Christ. But with that said, out of a couple years of conversation, and I mean, major leaders have been involved in this, we started something called National Unity Weekend. And I think it's something that you guys would be very interested in. I want you to imagine if pastors across the country, typically, we spend 12 to 15 hours prepping for a message, but imagine if white pastors, Hispanic pastors, African-American pastors spent 12 hours minimum a year looking at what the scripture says about healing the racial divide, not creating arguments, not putting down the other camp, but imagine if we really focused on what the scripture says. And a lot of folks would have to look at the scriptures from a perspective, perhaps they've never looked at it before. But imagine if that was something we did across the nation. Imagine if we all taught from a shared text. And that was also a sign of unity. So you can hear the same message being preached from Episcopalian down to a Baptist or up to a Baptist, however you want to put that. But with that said, imagine if we united just 1 week in a month. Some would begin a series, of course. Others, it would just be a one weekend event. Imagine how that could impact the DNA of our various congregations. Imagine if our congregations could hear from their pastor what the scripture says versus, the pundits on television as it relates to this thorny issue we call race. Imagine if churches got together across denominational and racial lines to get together on the Saturday before the Sunday to roll up their sleeves to be the hands and the feet of the gospel and serve the underserved in our various communities, where white churches would partner with African-American churches, Hispanic churches would partner with Korean churches, and you can mix that up however you want to mix that up. But imagine the relationships that would come out of us planning my church with, say, Doug's church, planning an event that is going to engage our volunteers, cause our volunteers to work together. And together, we're going to actually be lifting up the name of Christ as we feed the hungry and clothe the naked. Also, we have a tent to share the gospel. This year, Convoy of Hope, which is a national organization, has gotten involved with us as well. So right now, National Unity Weekend takes place in roughly 25 states across the United States. Several hundred churches have participated. Forgive my voice, have participated. But the short of it is, unfortunately, Apostle Paul's not here. Frederick Douglass is not here. Sojourner Truth's not here. Martin Luther's not here. Martin Luther King's not here. The reality is, it's just us. And if we don't do anything, nothing's going to get done. And with that said, National Unity Weekend has become a small piece for churches that want to actually do something and be part of something a little larger than themselves, and be part of the solution and not just, the problem or just reiterating the problems from the pulpit. This is an opportunity to do something constructive. So with that said, National Unity Weekend is growing. We have a website. It's nationalunityweekend.com. Also, we've had events I've had 100 leaders from across the U.S., about half white, half African-American, Hispanic, and Asian, meet me at the Legacy Museum, along with Bernice King in Montgomery, Alabama. We've had tours and actually sessions at the African American Museum of Culture and History here in DC. The museum was shut down, and we had our own meeting room. We were able to, because we had a lot of high profile people, we were able to tour the museum in a way that everyone could be comfortable. This year, we will have a meeting in the Museum of the Bible, and we're going to talk about the intersection of faith, race, and politics. I have spoken with hundreds of leaders across the nation over the last few years, and typically the elephant in the room is politics. So
Mm.
what we're going to do in that meeting is begin to process solutions, not just point fingers, but process solutions, ways in which we can mitigate some of the tensions that have emerged in the nation. That will take place on October 21st. But with that said, if you're interested in what we're doing, I'm excited about what you're doing. It's a big deal. 30 years, that's significant. I've just been doing this now for a few years. So to last 30 years, that's a super big deal. And I know in my case, I have focused largely on leaders and pastors. Pastors need safe spaces where I love what you said, Pastor Crawford. You know, in these small chat rooms, you can fumble if needed. We're going to love you anyway. Folks need to be able to have candid conversations, make mistakes and misstatements that are not going to be repeated in the media, you know, and also get perspective from others that perhaps they would never meet except through a setting like this. So I love what you guys are doing. It's super important, and I salute you. It was an honor to be with you. I'm going to have to get off the line in just a couple moments, not because, you know, it's not important what you're doing, but I just have so much going on today. But again, I salute you. You can go to our website. That's nationalunityweekend.com or unityweekend.com. You can get a little bit more information. And probably in a couple of weeks, we're going to be updating that website as well. But in the meantime, that website will work just fine. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes to talk with you. I count it an honor. It takes a lot of courage to talk about these things and also to get on the line. I don't know how often you do this, but if you do it regularly, it really takes a level of commitment. So again, I salute you. And Pastor Brian Crawford, I certainly salute you, and hang in there. And God's got you. And just keep doing what you know you should do. All right. Blessings to you all.